So here we go. The game commences. Usual fee plus expenses. We're actually going to put the proper sort of block colour in. The sky, get that blended in. Oh yeah, got some tape for horizon. Spray water just to damp the canvas down. It's just distilled water. Helps the paint bind, dilutes it slightly. And what paint do you use? Well, for skies I'm going to use blue, and a bit of blue, and some blue. Yeah, basically just a whole variety of different shades of blue. Yeah, alright, enough already with the blues. At this point I don't know you're filming, so I'm just sat there playing my paints. In a moment I'm going to turn over, press what I think's record and pause the camera, so you never actually get to see me paint the painting. Sorry about that, but we'll come back to when I turn the camera back on again. Okay, the camera's back on and we're back in the room. The sky's actually been done, doesn't show great because I've still got that picture in the top right hand corner. What it is, it's dark in the top right and come across lighter with clouds in the left. I'm going to do the sea almost in reverse, so it's going to be light in the corner I'm just putting the paint on now, where the shallow the harbour is, and it's going to get dark towards the left hand side. The slight challenge for this picture in that it's going to be a really foreshortened horizon, so it's a beach right in front of you, and then at the horizon is going to be deep sea. That transition is going to be a bit of a challenge. Likewise with the sky, it's as if the perspective is travelling away to the top left hand corner, so that corner there is a lot further away than the bit by the land. It's all perspective and stuff, but anyway, as you can see, I put the paint directly onto the canvas, spray it with some distilled water, damp my brush down, and then sort of blend it together. This is getting a bulk of paint down. There will be a detail layer over this when I start putting wave tops and things like that, but this is getting the paint, the streaks, the patterns. I want multiple colours of blue to give a more natural look to the sea. So this is what I'm doing here, and as you see I work from one edge, working my way across. It's going to be lighter down this end, going to darker on the left. Fast forward a little bit, you can see the blues come across, you can see how it blends to slightly darker, and now I want some properly dark water for deep. This looks horrendously dark at the moment, but it will blend down. Remember, you're merging these colours. It's possibly a little bit too much black, but I want the water to be deep blue for the sea, and then I can add the layers of lightness on top of it. So this will change as I put the multiple layers of paint. It's very much a layered process. So here we've got the blending beginning to happen. I'm going to add some white. A bit like that blue looked too dark, this white's going to look too white, but it's about blending the colours in. I'm showing this at double speed at the moment. I'll go back to normal speed shortly, but it's just to show the process, how that blending happens, and it can look quite, I don't know, wrong as you start, but as you blend it in, it really does work. I need lighter by the shore, go to a darker horizon, lighter on the left hand side towards the right hand side. It's all about graduation and gradation. Happy with the blending of the sea. Obviously there's going to be a lot of work adding the boats and the waves. I started the grass, and guess what? I use a mixture of different greens in for this one. And again, this is going to be lighter towards the right hand side of the canvas, slightly darker towards the left, lighter to the bottom, so closest to you perspective wise, and darker towards the sea. Same technique, spray with distilled water and then squirt some green on here. Yep, I'm running out of paint and throwing it on the floor, but yeah, this is, again, I'm using Dyna colours here for a lot of the stuff. I use it in the sky as well. Really brightens up, enlivens the picture. I like it a lot. But you'll see, that's one green. I've got, what, 3, 4 more to try. So I'll blend them all in again. Here you can see the blending different greens, so darker by the sea edge away from you, from a perspective. And you can see I'm painting over the beach. I was going to keep it there, but I found it easier to get the greens to blend without worrying too much about the beach. That's going to be added back in again once this lot's dried. So with the beach added in, obviously taped off, I'm just using now softening the line between the land and the beach, making it look slightly more natural. Good job, I've got a wobbly hand. I've been asked about blending on the canvas instead of blending on the palette. For big pictures like this and for broad stroke work, I like to blend on the canvas, so you can actually see how the different blues and the whites interact. You can see the sea and the sky actually appearing on the canvas. For detail work, I always try to do it on the palette first. That way you actually know what you're painting with in the detail. You can't just brush out your mistakes. The big thing, one of the big areas, if there's a mistake, it normally turns into a feature. So you can see the dark blue and the light blue. That I think works really well for the sea and gives a nice border to the sky. That wouldn't have happened if you'd blended on the palette. Time to add the key. I'm doing this in two parts. The facing wall, which is the bulk of it, of what you see, and then I'm going to put a roadway at the top. This is taped off for the facing wall. I'm going to paint it black and then add in some blockwork detail. Obviously, when I said painted black, I actually meant painted brown. What we're going to have is basically a brown wall, even some yellow in there, yippee. Yeah, so it's kind of a light stone at the top, but it's going to be dark down the bottom where the actual sea washes against it. So start light, and then we're going to brush in the darkness. So quick splish splosh. Spread that colours out. Again, blending on the canvas, not on the palette. You can see more accurately what the end result looks like. I'll fast forward a bit, I think. Even fast forwarding this seems to take forever. Anyway, yeah, just imagine I did this for a while, then added some more colours. Now I want to darken it up. There's the black I mentioned earlier. I knew I used black. Yeah, so black and dark green. We're trying to make a sort of splodgy, muddy, seaweedy, diesel spillage. No, sorry, not diesel spillage. Beautiful, artistic-y, greeny, seaweedy look. The stuff you get growing around the bottom of seawalls. Once got the right level of green and black, use a business card to cut it like Coke, and then you've got the paint on the edge of the business card. You're going to use this to form the lines along the base, and also the main brickwork and blocks for the facing wall of that key. You don't want it to be too regular. It's more the impression of blocks, so be careful. Light strokes, you've got to be reasonably accurate. You want them parallel, but yeah, it takes some time. So again, there you see them appearing. But we're going to fast forward towards the end result. Boy, you're glad you didn't see through that. Anyway, here I am, chopping up a lollipop stick. I've used the business card to do the horizontal lines for the blockwork. I'm going to use the end of a lollipop stick to do the vertical. So, yeah, chop the lollipop stick, dab it in the paint, and then do every bloody vertical line on the key. No, I'm not going to put you through it, so we'll jump to the end again. The same t-shirt 2 days running, and the blockwork is finally, thankfully finished. All been left to dry overnight, and we're back again. Now I'm going to do the roadway on top of the key. So this again, tape it off. You use lots of the artist tape, or decorator's tape, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, make sure you stick it on properly. Yeah, anyway, this is going to be the roadway between the top of the quay and the houses and shops and pubs, etc. For the rest of it. This is going to be sort of tarmacy black and splodgy, so we'll see how that goes. Base layers are splodgy black and green. It's actually left over from yesterday. I don't normally reuse sort of hard dried paint, but it's a base layer and it's just about what I want, so I'm okay with it for this particular place. To get the splodgy effect, I normally use a sponge, so normally use a little free scrubby thing like that. But because this is a commission, I bought some real natural sponge. Yeah, I bought it the hippie shit about rather than using plastic sponges which kill the environment, will murder sponges themselves directly and save pollution or something. Moving on from environmental hypocrisy, I found they basically worked as well as the normal sponges I use, and we ended up with a nice little splodgy roadway on top of the quay. So we're now ready for the lighthouse and the houses. Lighthouse is actually taken from the lighthouse at the head of the Beaulieu River near Leap Beach. So I drove out to Leap Beach and took some photos of my own. This allows me to really see the size of it, the scale, the proportions, etc. It's important that what I paint blends in with the other buildings on the quay, so it's not going to be on a cliff in bushes like that. It's actually going to be on the end there. So sizing and positioning that gives me something to work from. I'm using the paint pen again to sketch in the details before I actually paint this in. The challenge I've got is actually the photograph on the phone is from a different angle, so that's viewed from below and the painting is viewed from above, so I need to kind of adjust the perspective again on that. The base of the tower is round, so I need to get something to give me the curve as it curves out onto the quay. I'm using an old record I played around with, painted there. Oh, yeah, present for Belle at some point. But yeah, again, just trying to sketch this in. It's a lot easier if you've got something to give you the basic form first. With it sketched out nice, you can colour it in with the white paint now. Simple play school stuff of do the edges neatly first, I find it really useful from time to time to just pause, sit back and actually look at it again. You get too tied up in the minutiae. I've added the shading, the windows. I've also put a red door in it, so a little focal point to pull your interest in. Now we're on to the other buildings, so I'm going to sketch those in, paint pen and ruler again as before. Blocking the paint into those sketch lines gives me some clear delineation, so I can see above the quay exactly where that sea needs to blend into. Equally with the roof lines, I will be having a clear line again, so I can bring the sky down to the right place. For the moment though, just block some colour in. When you're trying to blend in a patch like this on the sky, you're much better mixing your paints on the palette so that any mistakes you make are off the painting. I use the time while I'm waiting for the blended paint to dry to block in the colours for the houses. The roofs of the cottages are all going to be sort of tiled, and they need to be of the same tone and hue, so they all look like they're equally weather battered, but there should be slight variations between the colours, as obviously different houses have different roofs. So I mix up all the sludgy colours I've got on my palette, bit of blue, bit of red, bit of brown. You can see here I've got two darker brown ones either side, then a lighter one in the middle. All the same paint, but I've just had a bit more grey to that one. I'm going to add some red to make the colours richer and look like newer roofs, but it's all just pretty, there, some red. It's pretty much sludgy colours, and by using that same base, they'll all look equally sort of weather battered, but the individual roofs will look distinctive. Well done if you stayed with me this far. It's been a long one, but we've got the basic background of the painting done. Now we can go into the interesting bit of adding all the details to turn it into a proper painting.